Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to episode 5 of Two Guys Talking Shit. Today we'd like to introduce our newest segment we like to call Glove Shopping with O.J. Simpson. So I gotta eat a little crow here. Russell Westbrook hit his 42nd triple-double.
Take that, Sam.
Yeah. He did it. His team still blows, though. Can we talk about that?
They are still the 6th seed.
Yeah. So you're the last one in the playoffs. Or no, I'm sorry, it's the NBA.
8 teams.
Yeah, for some reason. So you're in the playoffs. Your team's still garbage. You're gonna get knocked out in the first round. But
As of right now, they would play Houston. So.
And you'll get destroyed by James Harden.
Yeah, should they wait for the MVP to, after that series?
Westbrook's going to get it. You can't average a triple-double in a season and give it to anyone else. I would
consider it a travesty if they did. I'm not a Russell Westbrook fan by any means, but give the guy some props where the props are due.
Yeah, he's a damn good player, and I can't take that away from him. He's just such a giant fucking douchebag that I cannot deal with that. Like I said before, you cannot, as the star of your team, as the leader of your team, as, I guess as the point guard you can, but as the star point guard leader, you cannot be the one out on the court fighting someone. You can't be that guy. That's not your role.
But as the team leader, it should be.
No, it shouldn't.
It sets the tone for everybody else.
Don't get me wrong. You could be aggressive, and don't back down. But let somebody else, let the player that can afford to get thrown out of the game, let that guy get in a fight.
The guy's averaging 31, 10, and 10. Nuts. Those are video game stats. And to average it for 82 games, I know they haven't played 82 yet, but we'll say 70-some.
Well, he has locked up averaging a triple-double. So, it's not going to go down now. Yeah, maybe his points per game can go down a little bit.
Yes, they're at 80 games, so they got 2 games left.
Yeah, he's locked that up. Okay.
I agree, the team is trash, and they're probably not going to do anything in the playoffs. But to average 31, 10, and 10 for a season.
Absolutely amazing.
Amazing. Only one other player, Oscar Robertson.
Yeah.
Only other player to ever average a triple-double for a season.
And he's now beaten his record and has that in his cap, but...
Will he be in the Hall of Fame?
Westbrook?
Yeah.
Barring injury, yeah. Barring catastrophic injury that would, end his career today, yeah. If he plays another, let's say, 8 years, I think he's bound to make it. Do you think his attitude prohibits him from getting another player to come to OKC so that they can start winning championships, start building something? Like getting another star there that he can play off of, or can play off of him?
That's a good question. Yeah, I would almost say yes. I think that it's more likely that Westbrook will leave and find a new destination with other role players that might be better than the caliber that Oklahoma City has, than have another player come to him in Oklahoma City.
So do you think that he's okay with just being the guy? Obviously, he wants to be the guy. That's always been obvious for him.
But he ran up James Harden. He ran up Durant. So, he needs the spotlight in his own sense.
But do you think, it's in his personality to even give up a little bit of that spotlight to win championships? Or do you think he's okay being on subpar teams his entire career and just being the best on that team and being the star?
I think all players want to win. At the end of the day, they're competitive just like me or you. I'm uber competitive when it comes to anything. get me into, like I said, wall ball or kickball, I'm going to be as competitive as anybody else out on that place. I think any sports athlete is competitive and wants to win.
But do you think he wants to win more than he wants to be the star?
I would hope not. Yes, I think he wants to be the star more than he wants to win.
I think so too, and I think that's going to be his downfall. I don't think he's ever going to get a ring because of that.
I mean, AI was kind of the same way though.
Yeah, and
AI never got a ring too.
yeah.
But a lot of people love AI for who he is.
I got a lot of respect for AI, but not as much as most people. People put him up there as one of the greatest scorers the NBA has ever seen, just because of his point totals per season and things like that. But people don't realize, yeah, he made 20 shots a game.
But he didn't never pass.
He took 60 shots a game. He has one of the worst shooting percentages for a player that scored that much that's ever been seen. And
Yeah,
while he was, one of the fastest players to ever play and just a dynamic player, you can't overlook his terrible shooting percentage.
but I mean, at the same point, Russell Westbrook is still averaging 10 assists a game. So I mean, he's distributing the ball.
Oh yeah, he is. And don't I'm just comparing those two really in their attitude, not necessarily in, their style of play.
Okay, so if we did a fantasy draft and everybody just got reset free agents, how long would it take for Russell Westbrook to get picked up?
He's in the top 5 easy.
Do GMs want to deal with that bullshit, or are they just okay with the production he is bringing?
Again, if you think that he can actually match up and wants to win more than he wants to be the star, then you're going to put up with it. If you think that he wants to be the star more than he wants to win, maybe you're not.
Yeah, as a general manager, would you pick him up?
It depends on
Even
how far
if
down we are. I'm not taking him
he's
first overall, no.
well, I mean, nobody's taking him first overall. We can say that 100%. I mean, LeBron James and Kevin Durant are going 1-2.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to argue that. But after that, when you get to, do you want Harden on your team before you want Russ?
I mean, Harden left because he wanted to be the star. Everyone knows that. You and I can look back on that as a dumb decision. But I think Harden also realized really early on with the Rockets that he needed help. Yes, he was a star the second he got to the Rockets. But he needed help. And he got that. The Rockets are right there. They're probably, I don't know what they're seeded, but I'm guessing third in the West.
Yeah,
right
they're
now.
the third in the West.
And they're a viable team. I still think it's going to be the Spurs or Golden State at the end of the day coming out of the West. Most likely Golden State. But the Rockets aren't anything to shake a stick at. And that's because James Harden realized he can't. Adrian Peterson is still out on the market. He's meeting with the Patriots this past week. Had a workout there. No contract yet. God, I hope he doesn't go there. But that would be a huge get for them. You don't know how much AP has left in the tank, but if anybody can get the most out of him, it's the mad scientist, the hoodie, the dark one, Bill Belichick.
Why do you hate him so much? Oh, God.
Because it could have been me.
If he didn't suck it up with the Browns?
He was the Browns coach. We had him. And then that bastard Art Modell moved the team.
Do you think he was, has he always been a good coach? Was he a good coach for the Browns?
I've watched I don't know if it was a 30 for 30 or if it was just another, documentary, but that talked about all the people that were involved with, the 94, 95 Browns that, Bill Belichick's last year there, and all the NFL coaches, GMs that were all there with him You talk about Thomas Dimitrov, who is the Falcons GM. Scott Pioli. I don't know where he is now. I want to say he joined up with Thomas Dimitrov in Atlanta, but he used to be the Chiefs GM, and he was with the Patriots before that. Jim Schwartz. So many guys that have been NFL defensive coordinators, GMs, head coaches, offensive coordinators. It's hard to say that they would have been good. But all that coaching, managing talent all in one room, it's hard to say they wouldn't have been good.
But back to AP. Do you think he'll sign with the Pats?
I don't know. I read a report earlier today that there's a contract on the table for LeGarrette Blount to come back. So I think if LeGarrette Blount comes back, I don't think he's going. If LeGarrette Blount signs elsewhere, then it's very possible.
Do you think LeGarrette Blount's good?
I think he's good for what the Patriots need him to do, which is just be that, for the most part, just be that goal line guy. That guy that is tough, big, and going to wear people out.
I mean, they've always been like a running back by committee type of team.
Yeah, and they've never asked him to do more than he's good at doing, which is just being tough to take down and wearing out a defense.
Yeah, he'll never be a star. I mean, he'll never be a Hall of Fame type running back.
No.
By all means. But, I mean, he's, like you said, he's good at what he does. He's good at being big and physical and bowling people over.
Yeah.
Something that Ron Dayne never did.
You do have to give him credit. This past season, he did have almost 1,200 yards. So, I mean, he is more than an effective back.
I guess that's way more than I thought he had.
Yeah. I mean, he had, I believe, his best statistical season this past year, but,
helps when you're on the Patriots.
It does. When you have Tom Brady's arm keeping everybody on their heels.
I mean, that's the one thing.
I hate that fuck.
You can put a bunch of bums out there, and Bill Belichick will still find a way to win with that team. It's unreal.
People have always talked about how little receiving talent that Tom Brady has had. And I think you can make that argument at certain times in his career. And I think maybe even this is one of those times. Because you look at the team right now. I mean, who is it? Danny Amendola. Really?
Edelman.
Julian Edelman is average at best. Matt Slater, yeah.
Matt Slater.
But when I look at the Patriots wide receiver core, there is something to emulate there for other teams. Bill Belichick, he never has the most spectacular wide receivers, but he looks for skill sets. From what I can, looking at it as a fan that doesn't really necessarily know much of shit, but I like to pretend I do.
Well, we all like to pretend we know shit.
He looks for particular skill sets. He likes to have a couple of guys on a team that know how to get in and out of cuts fast. They're not necessarily the fastest receivers in the world. They're not necessarily big guys. They're not necessarily small. He wants them to be able to get in and out of cuts and know where to sit in zones. You watch Wes Welker do it for fucking ever there. And then he wants at least one guy that can go. He wants one guy that can fucking fly. And you look at that, the rookie this past year. What was his name? Chris Hogan. I mean, he's not an overly talented guy, but he can fucking fly down the field. And that's the deep threat. And then normally he has a guy on the field that's just a big target. Now, he hasn't had this wide receiver recently because he has a guy named Gronk. And he doesn't need another big target.
And Martellus Bennett this year.
Yeah, so you look at what he's looking for, and while he may not ever have the best wide receivers, he does have a specific set of skill sets that he's looking for.
I mean, you look at the best wide receiver Tom Brady ever played with and never won a ring. Randy Moss.
Hands down the best wide receiver you ever played with. But there were some other guys in there that weren't exactly slouches. I mean, yeah, there's nobody else. Maybe Wes Welker's a future Hall of Famer. I guess you can make an argument there. But outside of that, there's no other guy that's going to make the Hall of Fame.
Ever.
Yeah.
I mean, out of the cores that he's played with. I mean, he made Deion Branch a superstar.
Signed that big contract with Seattle and became a bum.
Yeah. I mean, Givens,
Yeah, Chris
another
Evans.
guy that he played with, got a huge contract elsewhere. Never panned out after leaving the Patriots. Maybe it's Tom Brady.
Ugh.
Got it. I mean, where's else is it?
Give me a minute. I gotta go throw up.
Got to give him credit.
No, and the one thing I'll say about Bill Belichick and the Patriots, and it gets said a lot, what he's best at is taking away your biggest strength. That's why they're so good. He looks at your biggest strength on offense. If it's your run game, he's taking that away and forcing you to throw. If it's your passing game to a particular receiver, he's going to triple team that guy and force you to throw to everybody else. If on defense you have a really good pass rush, he's going to throw screens all day to negate that.
Yeah. And if you're a really good passing,
if you have really good DBs, he's
going
to run the ball up the gut.
Yeah,
He's going to take away whatever you're best at. And that's why he wins. I mean, you can look at everything else. You can look at Tom Brady. You can look at any other player on the roster. But that's why he wins.
Does the NHL ever have a chance to become a top 3 organization, we'll say? Like, you got the big 3. You got NFL leading the way, of course, with all the fans of the NFL, the revenue. They're making the most money. They're the most popular. You got basketball and baseball, excuse me, at like maybe a 2A and 2B. I really don't know who's really leading that way. Like you said earlier, you got the older generation, probably more baseball fans. You got the younger generation, more basketball fans. And then you got NHL somewhere above soccer, maybe. Can it ever...
I'd say soccer's gaining more and more on them.
Absolutely.
Even though I couldn't watch the sport to save my life.
Can NHL ever become one of the top 3 brands?
You gotta get on TV. You gotta get in people's faces. Otherwise, and I don't know how you do it. Hockey has done a lot to try to improve, and I'll give them that. Having the outdoor games in a couple of cities.
They even tried the blue puck back 15 years ago. They tried the blue puck
to make it more visible.
On Fox, to make it more visible. So, because a lot of people said, "Oh, I just can't follow the puck," which is bullshit in my opinion.
I think it's valid. I think it's valid. Now, if you already know hockey, which you already have those people, you already have the people that already know hockey. They're already watching. But if you already know hockey, then you know where the puck is based on the movement of people.
Soccer, you can follow the ball in soccer.
Yeah, soccer's relatively new to America, though. Soccer's gaining.
Is it the camera angles? Is that what's part of it? Is people can't watch it on TV because of camera angles?
I think I think it's less action-packed to... Hear me out. It's less action-packed based on the camera, because football, they have cameras on strings now, so you're right in the mix, and basketball, they got cameras at every angle on the court, so you're seeing everything, even if it's just on a replay. So yeah, I think camera angles have something to do with it, and I don't know how you improve that, because you can't have cameras down on the ice. But yeah. I think it makes it seem like less action-packed of a sport. It is not. If you know hockey.
The atmosphere is incredible.
Yes.
Anybody who's been to a hockey game, they can understand that the intensity of hockey fans are at a great value. True hockey fans are great for the sport, and they're doing a great job at it. I mean, Columbus, small market team, packs Nationwide Arena.
Yeah.
every game, and they were terrible for a lot of years. And they finally got a great team this year, and they're supporting their team, and they're always Columbus in general is a great sports town. Period.
It's honestly my second favorite live sport.
I've been to NFL games. NFL games are boring in person.
Oh, NFL game, it is a made-for-TV. I only go to Browns games because of the atmosphere. It has nothing to do with the actual game. They're awful. There's a million timeouts. You're sitting there for 3.5 hours to watch 11 minutes of a sport.
Yeah, where hockey, I mean, it's fast-paced. In person, it's fast-paced. It's a back and forth on the ice. There's very little timeouts. I mean, you got I think three timeouts a period. You got one at 14 minutes, one at 6 minutes, and then you got the intermission. So what's the matter? Is it the fact that when you're a child, you don't have access to the rinks to grow up playing hockey?
I think
Is that a lot to do with it?
I think it does. Yeah, I mean, because you and me, our generation, our little subset of a generation, let's say, within 5 years of our age, we had Mighty Ducks.
I loved Mighty Ducks.
So we were a little more into hockey than most of before or after. And I think it's because of those movies, because we went out and we got rollerblades and we played...
It's knuckle puck time, man.
Our crappy little street hockey, yeah. It is knuckle puck time. So I think our level of interest, our age's level of interest is just a little bit higher because of that. But you're right. Hockey is a sport that costs a lot of money to play. All the equipment, you have
rink time.
You have rink time. In growing up in small town Ohio, there's very few avenues to go play it.
Yeah, we would have had to drive at least an hour to
Athens.
go play it Athens or Columbus.
Athens had a team. You and I had a friend growing up that actually did play for them. But the amount of time that his family spent traveling because of that, because I think they played maybe 2 games in Athens per year. And then, every other game, they were driving at least to Columbus to play.
Yeah, if not Cincinnati or Cleveland. And that's just, that's small town Ohio. You got other places that are the exact same way. I have friends that live in Michigan, and they were constantly traveling with their son every weekend, 4, 5, maybe 6 hours on the road, renting hotels, just so his son could play hockey. And you're right, it is expensive. Where baseball, you need a mitt, a field.
Maybe a bat.
And
a lot of times, Little League, they supply that shit.
Yeah. And so, the equipment costs are down. Basketball. And court time, which a lot of places will just donate.
Anywhere, yeah.
Yeah. And
it's not as readily available. Logan High School didn't have an ice rink.
God, no.
I would say less than 5% of your high schools in America have an ice rink.
And if they do, they're probably private
schools. Minnesota. I would say that the accessibility of being able to play it when you're young is really what builds you into a sports fan.
Yeah, I grew up in Detroit for the first 10 years of my life. So the Wings were always huge. That's how I got into it. And knowing other families that
not making the playoffs this year, by the way.
I know, the streak ends. Suck it. I know. Fuck you. But fuck, God, I'm off it now because of that. But yeah, and I had friends of our family who traveled a lot playing, and I would tag along when I would do sleepovers or whatnot and stay at his house. And so I had it growing up 100% of the time because the Wings were just huge and everywhere in Detroit. But you don't have that in a lot of places, and I think that just kills it overall.
Here in Ohio, we got the Jackets in 99?
Yeah, somewhere around that. Right before we entered high school.
And like you said, they were garbage until the past few years. They've started to build, and now they're a damn good team. My level of hockey watching through my young years, I probably watched a little more, and then I watched next to none until a few years ago.
The NBC picks up games on their NBC Sports Network probably 4 or 5 times a week. But NBC overall, they have one game a week, maybe, on Sunday afternoon. right after, like right at noon or 3:30 or somewhere in there. But other than that, nobody picks it up.
Yeah, you gotta watch Sports Time Ohio or Fox Sports or something
NBC
along those lines.
Sports, yeah.
Yeah, you got to go to these channels that your casual sports fan doesn't even know exists to watch a hockey game that a
They're
lot
going to
of
be
people
bored
aren't
at
interested
watching,
in.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it just sucks. And I don't know what you can do to expand hockey, but it's such a good sport, and I just think it needs to happen.
I'll tell you one thing that made it a lot more interesting to me. There's a lot more shootouts.
Yeah, and 3-on-3 in overtime.
I love the shootout, and maybe that's Mighty Ducks 2 talking. But
Oh, I remember you complaining in high school that they ended in ties, and you're like, "This is garbage," because you have tie games. And recently, within the past 4 or 5 years, they added the shootout and then 3-on-3 in overtime, which I think is great. It opens up the ice, makes it a lot more active. So when you get into, you're almost rooting for overtime every time you go to a game.
oh yeah, it's so exciting. As far as the issue of kids not having the ability to play it young, I don't know that there's much you can do about that. At least not on the NHL level. That's I guess a systemic issue.
What I was shocked at is when I moved here recently, is there are ice rinks all over Tampa, which is awesome for figure skating and hockey. Figure skating's big around here for girls, and but hockey is big for boys around here, and it's just awesome to see. Inside our mall, we have an ice rink, full-size ice rink in our mall.
Julie the Cat was from Florida, man.
No,
Julie the Cat Gaffney.
No, she was from Bangor, Maine.
Who was the one from Florida then?
The speedster. He was
Was it
from
Luis?
Yeah,
Was it
Luis
Mendoza?
Yeah.
All right, we got to fact check that.
Yeah, I'm positive. Julie the Cat Gaffney was from Bangor, Maine. Know your Mighty Ducks, Sam.
If I just got shown up on Mighty Ducks, we're going to have a problem.
Quack, 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 motherfucker, because you're wrong. Cake eater.
Damn it.
Suck it, Sam.
Fuck you, Pete.
Who was the rodeo guy? What was his name?
Dwayne Robertson, man.
Dave Robertson from Austin, Texas.
Yep.
Ducks fly together.
They need to make a new one.
Mighty Ducks 4 would be awesome.
Like, I don't know what the angle could be because I think they're too old to do it like NHL now.
Josh Jackson, high on coke, has to come back and do some community service for shitty kids.
You can't have him be the coach. No, that's what Hollywood is doing with everything now, just remaking something and putting, the kid star now has to be this. No, you got to have Gordon Bombay. If you don't have Gordon Bombay as coach, then it's Mighty Ducks 3 all over again, and I'm pissed.
Which he was in it for a whole whopping 6 minutes of the movie.
Oh, God, that pissed me off.
I'm a lawyer again.
No, you're the Minnesota Miracle Man.
Which one's better, 1 or 2?
2. It's one of the few instances where the sequel is better.
I would agree. I love Mighty Ducks 2. Mighty Ducks 1's alright, but I can watch Mighty Ducks 2 every time it's on TV.
I mean, I have a worn-out VHS of Mighty Ducks 2. Like, part of it doesn't work anymore because I watched it so much.
How about a Charlie Conway jersey? You know that, but it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, you bastard.
You still need your Gordon Bombay jacket. I still want to buy that.
Holy shit. And I have a decent job now. I can probably buy that.
You're an adult. You can afford nice.
So we have a 2017 Masters champion in Sergio Garcia. I believe this is his first major, correct?
Yeah, he has a 2008 Players Championship, but this is his first real big tournament win.
Wow. I mean, you think about how long this guy's been playing golf and been on the tour, and this is his first major.
It's unbelievable. I mean, he's a great golfer, but he only has 10 PGA Tour wins. He has a bunch of European Tour wins, but I don't really count those because they're in Europe and they don't really mean shit. like I said, the Players Championship in 2008, that was a big win for him. But this really, really validates Sergio Garcia to a almost another level.
Does it? Does
Yeah,
it? The fact that you've been on the tour that long and this is your first major win, you've been, I mean, arguably one of the biggest names in golf for the past 10, 15 years, and this is still your first major win?
I
I
mean,
don't know that that validates you at this point.
I mean, anytime you put on the green jacket, I think it validates you a little bit. When your
Yeah.
name, when your name like Sergio, I mean, who's been, as I like to say, he's been a great bad guy for golf for a lot of years, and finally puts on the green jacket this year. I think that's a big win for him.
I mean, yeah, obviously the Masters is a big win for anyone at any time, but I don't know.
Why do a lot
Is
of
it
people
is
hate
it
Sergio?
is it too little, too late for his golf legacy?
No, no.
No.
I mean, he's only what? He's probably like 40. No, he's not even 40. He's 37. I mean, he's still got some golf left to be played in him.
Yeah, but as long as it takes him to play around, how many more years has he got?
He's a great Ryder Cup player. I mean, I think that has to come into your legacy at a little bit. I mean, he's been a Ryder Cup nemesis to the United States for many years.
Here's another player in sports that has had to have rules made because of him. We now have a clock that they have to hit the ball in a certain amount of time because of Sergio Garcia.
Hey, play to your pace.
I guess.
I mean, it gets in a lot of people's heads. A lot of golfers don't like it because he is really slow, and golf is a lot of mental attributes to it. So if you can get into another person's head by slowing the pace down, why not do it?
I mean, maybe I'm just angry that my boy Ricky Fowler didn't win. Golf boys.
Who were the golf boys? That was Bubba Watson.
It was Bubba, Ricky. Shit.
Was it Adam Scott?
I think it might have been Adam Scott. I can't remember, but those videos, that made me love golf again.
Anybody that hasn't watched Golf Boys, go onto YouTube, and it's Hunter Mahan, Ben Crane, Ricky Fowler, and Bubba Watson.
Yes, their videos are hilarious. Golf Boys 2.0, just awesome.
It's killer.
They're the only golfers I root for at this point, and it's only because of those videos.
Bubba Watson, I still can't get behind Bubba Watson.
Give me the Bubba button ups.
He is very charismatic in what he does, but I don't know, he's too churchy for me.
Is it because he buttons the top button? Is that the only reason you don't like him? Is that
Probably.
too churchy?
Like, I don't care if you go to church and you believe in religion and stuff, but just don't throw it down my throat while playing a round of golf.
Everybody's got their platform, I guess.
Yeah, whatever. But congratulations to Sergio. Well deserved for the guy.
Tiger didn't play.
So, Tiger Woods was his kryptonite, so to speak.
I fully believe if Tiger would have played, Sergio wouldn't have won. I'm not saying Tiger would have, but Sergio wouldn't have won.
Sergio hates Tiger Woods so much.
I mean, yeah, he destroyed him constantly.
Was there, I mean, do you consider golf to have rivals? Are there rivals in golf?
I would say so. I would have said Tiger versus Phil was always a big rivalry. I don't know, on a level between them, if it was ever a rivalry. To me, golf is such an individual game that it's not like you're a rival of another team. So I would say it'd be pretty easy for a golfer to ignore what's going on with other golfers. But I would say that it also, if you did consider that person a rival, it would intensify that more because it is one-on-one.
Can it only be a rival when they're actually playing a round together? I mean, you can't, if you're not playing against somebody in the round, you don't even see them.
Well, by that last day, I mean, if they're both at the top, then
they're paired up together?
Yeah, they're paired up together. So I would say then, yeah, it's a rivalry.
Yeah, okay, I'll take.
Well, that about wraps up episode 5. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions, comments, or a topic you'd like to hear us discuss, leave it in the comments section or go on over to our website, twoguystalkingshit.com, and shoot us an email. As always, if you like what you heard, like, comment, and share our shit with your friends. And if you don't like what you heard, well, you can fuck off. We gotta go do our community service now. If you need us, we'll be over trying to teach Floyd Money Mayweather how to read.